progress report on the Spitfire. The filler, which was the perfect plastic putty, has had a good time to set. And when I say that, that's been a couple of days now. So we're going to take that off, and then selection of different sanding sticks. We'll try and file that down to get a nice smooth finish, because we've got to make sure that these don't have any visible panel lines on there, any join lines. So we want a nice smooth finish. Having left that a while, that should mean that there shouldn't be any sink marks now. So once we actually take that off, what we should be able to do is have it so that we're not going to get a nice smooth finish, and then end up finding out that it carries on drying a little bit more, and then before you know it, we've got sink marks. So let's just make sure that focus doesn't change as I move it about. That's good, we're in. Right. So let's take this off. We should now just have quite narrow lines. As you can see here, there's a little hole. We're going to have to sort of hook it out from there. That's fine. But this is going to be a lot easier to sand down than if we hadn't put these lines on there, because we know that's just in there. And it also means that we won't get it going into the panel line so much. So first off, I'm just going to take that little bit out there. There was a hole there, and there's another little hole. Use a bit of this pin. Now, just to open up that hole again. With this stuff, this is water based, so in theory what I could have done was, whilst it was still wet, is to rub it down and pretty much wet, not even sand it. Won't do that. We're just using not the coarsest side, but a relatively coarse, just to knock it back straight away, just to take the heavy off. That should then just get us down to that thin line, which is whereabouts the it's just actually doing its stuff. And one just to get. Yeah, so I'm just lightly doing it for now. I think there was a bit more of a bigger gap on that back part there, if I recall. It's just where the internal structures. So I don't want to go too much with this one, because I don't want to start removing panel lines. I'm trying to just file away the excess filler at the moment with this one, not the actual plastic itself. We'll now go on a little bit finer. And there wasn't much in the way of panel line, so or gap, so we shouldn't have too much white. We will get a bit if you take out all the white and you've taken out all the filler. Now flip it to the smoother side and repeat the process. So it's not like I'm trying to get rid of the white line completely, because the white line shows that your filler's in there doing its job. See that's going right the way down, but you can also see there's a bit more there, where it's doing a bit more of a job than other places. So that's whereabouts we did have a bit of a gap, or I say gap, maybe things just weren't completely even. You can see where the white line's coming in. Here's the dust that's going in there. We will of course want to make sure we remove that dust. Hopefully it will just wipe out with a damp cloth. So now we've done that one, onto a sponge. Try not to put too much down pressure on there. Literally just try to let it rub across, almost under its own weight. Start pushing down, then that's when you start taking out the plastic. And finally, I think we've actually got three. We've used three of these worked our way through. We're going to go for the final one now, which is a actually this is the sort of one that you'd use for canopies. We use the polishing one just to really give it a final go over. You can see it always getting a shine to it, literally a polish. Bit of a sheen. Now final side, I think this is the final polished side. It won't really be until we got primer on, because obviously your eye's still going to see it due to that white line. It's going to be once we've got the primer on there, we'll be able to see whether we will need to do any more filling. Just rubbing the nail over, just seeing if I can feel it. I kind of feel it a little bit on that one actually there. So whilst I'm here, take that down a bit more, just on this part of the panel. way down those grades again. There. As far as I can tell, as you can see, it's actually catching the light. Now we got that down quite smooth. Oh. I'll do the same on here. The wrong side first. So we've still got that bit of white, but don't worry about it. I don't care about I can see it, it's can I feel it. That's what's going to happen once we've got the primer on. So it's just a bit of a fingerprint, or at least a glue mark there. Use that opportunity just to take that off. Okay, got a bit of a shine to it, and now this rear piece here. I remember doing the 109 version, or the 109 kit. That was almost like the sister kit to this, come out about the same time, and that actually had a note in the instructions not to fill the panel lines on the back, because it was actually a panel line. A Spitfire doesn't have that luxury. That was one bit of steel that was wrapped over, or steel, yeah, covering. I think we've got a bit more of a shine back to it. And again, to the touch. Is there still a little bit of a lip? A little bit of a lip. And polish that back. Right, use the sponge. So these sort of things that take the time, but it does make a difference to the final model. Realised I should probably put some masking on there because I've got some dust going in there. I'll blow that out in a bit. At least with being an open canopy, what I'll be able to do is at least get the airbrush in there and blow it out if necessary. So when you do the kits with the closed canopy, it's not until you take the masking off that you realise you've got dust in there and you can't do anything about it. Yeah, that is smooth. That's good. What I do want to do is just take a little bit of, actually just a bit off cut. I've just got some water could use eye paint. I think this is just water. I just want to use this, just wipe it over, get that dust out of those panel lines whilst we're there. Tap water, a bit of kitchen oil, that's all it is. Just washing out that filler dust. And now you can see just little smidges of minute little bits of white, and that's just where those little gaps where, I say, a bit bigger on the back that seemed to be. I don't know whether you've noticed that when I was test fitting it, there seemed to be a little bit of a gap there. There we are. There we go. So I think that is actually looking, that's going to look alright. Got dust up my nose now. That's cool. So before we do anything with that, what else did we want to do? So, that was it. Need to start putting this together. However, we need to put a bit of paint inside here. So I'm going to turn this on and get the paint ready. Do a couple of inside parts. Now, with the B and C variants that are in the kit, these internal sections would actually be silver colour. This we're doing the A versions, which is the same colour as the underside, which is basically the duck egg green, the Odinil BS216 Vallejo 71.009, or as the Tamiya's got it, XF21. So you're going to be using that. Did cross my mind what I can do, because it's going to be the same colour, I could just basically build it all when doing the underside. Basically just put it in, but I thought just to make sure, for convenience, I'm just going to pop a little bit in here. I have put a bit of masking on there just because that's the aluminium metallic colour in there, and that then means that when I'm actually properly painting, I can actually just put the panels in place. That'll make it a bit masking up. I mean, it's 6 1/2 dozen the other, to be honest. I could be making more work for myself, but for the sake of a couple of drops, that's a bit odd. There we go. For the sake of just seems to have a gooey bit sat on the top. For a couple of drops of paint, and I mean literally a couple of drops, I probably should prime it, but it's going to be getting it weathered and that sort of thing. We'll just put it in these areas here, because this is going to be the bit visible. So my first coat is really just going to be priming it, if anything. That's going to be the colour of the bottom bit. It could sort of go in this way. I'm going to come in from this direction at the moment. I'll probably come in from both. So to get that masking there. What I will do, pop that there, move that out of the way, just because I don't want to go and get a load of overspray over that and into the cockpit without realising it. Yeah. I know I said I put a few drops in. I do actually mean more than. Actually, let's put 4 drops in. I've got stone speckling. I think I've just got a bit wrong on the tip. I probably shouldn't say this, but to be honest with this part, I'm not really concerned if I don't get a perfect finish, because this isn't a wheel well. I'm going to be putting weathering and wash and that sort of thing in there. Obviously, when I'm doing the full underside, I'm going to want a nice non-speckly finish, but for now, for this part, it's not a high visible area, and as I say, it's going to have weathering and wash sort of put in on there naturally, because it's where the muddy wheels will be lifting up into. A little bit left in there. I'm just going to leave this to dry. I've just cleaned the airbrush out, put a bit of thinners through it. I have just remembered though, before we start going on top of the bits, we've got a few other little bits of detail that I want to put in. Won't do this part here, A18. It needs to be painted a different colour, but that's something that would be best to drop in if it's a different colour after it's painted. But we do have this little B6 and B7, which I was going to pop in before, but then I realised I couldn't because the I couldn't. Yeah, sorry, getting distracted. Couldn't because that's whereabouts the masking was going to be, or it was really close to whereabouts I was going to be filing down. So B6, B7, they're only going to be small bits. This is sprue A, so it wouldn't be on there. Start panicking because number 6 was missing. Okay. Let's stop to this. There we go, it's only small. It looks like we've actually got 2 number 7s. They're expecting me to lose one of these. These parts, probably, have I got them in shot? One there. These are small. I think best what we're going to do is use our sticky picky up thing and do each of these in turn. A little blob of glue. We'll do the largest one first. That just goes into the little slot. Touch to that. In there. That again. those little bits on there. Extra surplus bit of glue I might need to try to sand down very carefully underneath it once it's dried and gone off, not for the next couple of hours. A couple of bits that I need to put on, basically the guns. Don't get the full set, literally just the nozzles, which do need to be put in. They do need to be painted gun metal, so what I've done is I've ignored that, and where's the right sprue? There it is. Just painted them black for now. What I would do is, once it's all painted, I'll see how much is actually protruding just from the barrels, and maybe just sort of like dry brush those once the whole thing's painted. But the main thing was just to get the black on there. You can also see the insides as well as on the top halves. I've also put a bit of black on there as well, just to make sure that's got some colour, or basically so it won't be seen as bare plastic. Snip each of these off. These all have the same part number, they're exactly the same. That's good. Each one of these has got 2 little notches, and there's 2 little notches there. I don't think there's a right way up or a wrong way up. So just pop that in there. We want each one to keep it in place. The attachment points to the sprue at the rear, so there's no need to file down either. And to be perfectly honest, once these actually go together, I'm actually severely doubting whether they would actually be visible. Anyway, I guess you could kind of see a little bit of a... yeah, I don't think we're going to be missing out too much. That's that bit. I've already got that larger part in. That goes across, and the wheel wells which I've done. And if you recall, I had to do a bit of painting on this outsides of them. Yeah, so that was all fine. Now we'll get these wings on. The paint's still a little bit damp there actually, so I've just got to be careful, but that's fine just for putting here. That should be fine. We've got. I have filed down. Have I filed down enough? There just seem to be a bit there. Still got it actually. This is where you test fit. As far as I was concerned, to the eye, that looked flat. That's got a better join there. I'll just check the other one whilst we're here. And similarly on that side, you can see I've got a bit of a... I mean, I can press it in place. I think it's just that pushing against that. Which is what I've got clamps for. That should be fine. Main thing is once that goes together, we'll get a nice neat join. Might as well do that as I've got the glue there. Hold it open for the moment, just to get the glue in. And give that a squeeze. The clamps, I've just done the front edge for now, but I want to just get that on there, just get that clamp holding that together, just where that was pulling apart. And whilst we're there, just do the rear part. Okay, whilst it's apart, get that clamp on. That seems to be holding together by itself. Whilst that side dries, repeat. Over here. Quick gap there. So whilst where it's open, just trying to get the glue in and let the capillary action take it down. This one's not pulling as apart as much, but still is a bit. So just on the other side, get that on there. I have to get another clamp. Final clamp. Being careful with the clamps, but if I don't want to push places and then make it pop out other places, it's easy to try to close a join and it actually makes it pop somewhere else. But at the moment, it looks like we've got even pressure applied whereabouts there was. What I might do is, once this is dried and come off, I might just test the joins, and it might just need to strengthen it with a little bit more glue in places. But now essentially going to just leave that as is, make sure that dries properly, then we can put wingtips on, ailerons on, and connect it up to there in whatever order we want. Once we've done that, it's going to be starting to get to looking like a Spitfire. That's going to need paint. Right, it's so tempting to push forward, but I do think at this point in time it's going to be best just to let it leave dry and let that glue do its stuff. So I've left this overnight and popped off the clamps, and actually we've got some quite good, actually I was going to say quite good seam lines, but not really much in the way of seam lines. What the idea now is going to be, get this pretty much together and hopefully ready for paint. Before, it's not just a case of popping that on there, we've got a few other little bits that are going to need to be going in place. Actually, first time I've done that and it actually went together quite nicely actually. So I don't think we're going to be doing much filling on there, so that's useful. It looks like a Spitfire. But I think the next bit is going to be getting it all ready for paint. A few other little detail bits to go on, work our way through, and essentially get us ready to get priming. It might be that I do need to put a few other little bits of filler in places. We'll see how we go. One thing I do want to do is, I do remember there's a little piece there, A26, I've not put on yet. I wanted to wait until I'd done the filing, just because it's a smaller part on that rudder. So A26, and now I've done that sanding, I can feel a bit more confident of putting that on without knocking it off accidentally. I'd actually didn't know what the part was, so I've actually it's already got some silver paint on. That'll be getting painted over, and that's just the little actuator. I'll pop off there, so there's a little circular bit there, and a little part where it comes out the fuselage tail. Grip there. Probably should use tweezers, that'll be a lot easier. Blue's probably dry by now. There we go. So that's just in there. I will pop a little extra glue on there. Just in case it had dried off a little of that smaller part there. That'll get all over with that silver. I will paint that over. Straight. So we can tick all that off. So we pop those bits on. I'll mention these bits. I noticed after I put it on, one of the bits I think I got in a little bit too close with the snippers, and there was a little notch taken out of it. So I just put a little bit of perfect plastic putty in there, dabbed it in with a puck stick, wiped it over with a smooth finger, and you can just see there's a little bit of white in there. That's just that little where I've taken a little notch out. This is all done. This is all done. Those holes were drilled. That's all done. We've got to that stage. So now we're here where we've got to put on the wingtips and the flaps. So flaps, ailerons, even. Now it does make me wonder why these are separate, because it might be another boxing or potential boxing might have the non-elliptical, the flattened tips. It might just be that they wanted to do this so it wasn't such a large piece of plastic. That's also another possibility. There's different marks the Spitfire did have different wingtips. This needs sanding. So one sprue gate was where it's not going to be seen, and the other one is where it will. But it's right on the edge there actually, so it's quite easy to sand off. There seems to be a little bit sticking out which is meant to be there, a little location pad. So which way around? Make sure. Which way around this goes? Okay. Because I could go on either side. And I've never looked. I'm taking it off. Which way round it was? Okay, no. Although I could force that in there, that is clearly goes that side. It goes a lot easier. There is a slight aerofoil section, which makes it obviously a bit easier. So what I'll do this one first of all. Put the glue on the tab. Sort of like try to get that glue on the inside. So now that goes in. There we go, same again on this side. Just leave about a millimetre or so. Glue on the tab. the surfaces. Push in, and there we go. Do have a bit of a glue mark, but that was from when I was laminating the wings. And it's got these flaps that go in. That would be on this sprue here. Not getting too much left on these sprues. Neaten that up. Just come off there. Get that tab off. Well, technically that's going to be inside, but I just don't want it to foul up when it goes in. Tab is a bit bigger. And again, these should just push fit in. Now what would be like, and what I could do, is to actually maybe bend these little tabs there so they'd go in a dropped position. That would be nice. But for now we won't. So just check they fit okay. It goes in, nice elliptical wings there. And I'm just going to pull out slightly. And we've already got some blobs of glue from last time round. One down there. Again, so I'm getting the glue on the surfaces that go in. A bit more liberal with it. Quite a nice tight fit anyway. So there we go. So now we've got those wings on there, looking quite nice and elliptical. This should just now be a case of popping this in. So there's a little tab. It just shows you. Just put it in there. So the back goes in first, and then this should just clip up into it. Very nice, and it looks like this actually, they've designed this so it goes along the panel lines as well. So that's good. I'm just trying to work out how it's going to be the best way to glue. I could put this in place then run the Tamiya extra thin around as normally would do. What I'm thinking though is, if I'll just pop this around the edges, so we're going to be doing it where the inside of it is anyway. It should hopefully mean less glue is sort of visible when it joins. So I've just been chucking that on, get that in there, push that into place, and hopefully just hold that for a moment. We should. Beginning it to look like a Spitfire. Those panel lines, I could try to get a bit of filler in those lines actually, but I'm also seeing that there's some fine riveting detail either side of those panel lines, so I'm tempted not to. What I might do is might be a bit overkill. So I've got a bigger elastic band. What I'm thinking of doing, although we've got that dihedral there, which should be the correct dihedral anyway, dihedral is the angle of the wings. That'll need a bit more glue at the front there. So I'm just going to pop this in So as I do it, I put the drop there, and the capillary action just sort of sucks it in down that gap. Ooh, got a lot of glue. So what I'm thinking of doing, in theory, I could just leave this, let it dry, that'll be fine. I want to, it would have been easier to have done this without the dihedral, no, without the wingtips. Oh, can't to get that to go into the cockpit either. So what I'm doing this to put some pressure on the wings. I'll do this in a way that the elastic band is pulling each of those up, probably a bit more than it should be, so that bit is tighter than the bit on the bottom. There's more force there. The reason is, I'm just going to take a bit of this glue, I'm just going to see if I can actually just, I know this is going against what I was trying to do, pop a little blob in that join. So I'm opening that one up. Just to make sure, I think that's fine. Okay, I've got a drip, it blobbed how I didn't want it to go. I'm going to have to leave that and just sand that down. That's kind of on against what I was trying to do. But I want to do that just so it makes sure that it pulls these panel gaps closer at the top. So I want to take, once that's properly cured, I won't need to put any filler in there because that will be just completely bonded, but I'll still get that little panel line. I will need to remove that little blob of glue once it's dry though. It's annoying because that was actually right on the detail that I'm aiming to preserve. So for now, just leave that for a moment, flick over, see what else we've got to do. So it's now preparing bits for the underside. Different bits have got to be coloured, so what we'll do, it's the radiators. So I think what we can do now is prep as much of this, get some of these bits on. I probably could have been painting some of these bits because it looks like with the A, that's the XF21, which as we know is our duckhead green, and that'll be the inside of these radiator bits. So get these bits prepped, get this done, and then yeah, let's see, get that done, get those on, and then hopefully once we're pretty much at this stage, it's pretty much going to be pretty much built apart from a few bits of detail on there, ready for painting. So if anything, hopefully by the end of this session, it's going to be ready for masking and priming. Let's pop this out of the way. Yeah, I'll pop it over there. Let's see what we've got here. So we've got some photo etch parts which will need painting separately. However, these parts that they need to go on, all of these internal bits for the radiators, the bits, the lumps and bumps on the bottom, all of those insides on A scheme are all XF21. So let's get those on, get that built up, but without putting on the photo etch, because it looks like the photo etch gets painted different colours. So that's fine. So there we go. A41. Part there. Seems to have a few bits spread over different sprues. Sprue C. We'll take that part off whilst we're here. There. Where does C2 go? Let's just open this out. There's also bits on this side as well. C2, C3. I think for now, I'm going to skip over this part here. Am I going to skip over this part here? No, let's take it off just to be safe, actually. Already got that painted. I might have to be putting this in and then masking it up, because those panels go over. We'll have to see about those panels. Can I tack them in place and paint and add later, or will they really need to be fixed? We'll find out. I won't bother about the wheels or the wheel hubs. But we will need to paint those bits. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, well, as long as we remember that, that's fine. And those panels there. So, back up to here. Quite a lot of this is on the G sprue. So we build that up and then it goes into there. We're missing bits. B16, B15. So I think that's all the plastic parts for these bits without the photo etch. So we build those parts up. The D4, well, that's a clear part anyway. B9, B. So we do have these little bits tucked away. B10, the larger. Okay, is there a B8 kicking around here? We've got a B8 on here. No, I mean, it could still be with little bits on here, so let's not get rid of that straight away. What I'm tempted to do, pop these on first, just so they don't get lost. I just need a little tidy on this edge. So let's just bring that back in whilst we're here. And it actually goes so that the open part is to the rear. So actually, I drilled some holes for this. You only need to drill one hole, because, oh no, there is a much smaller down there, just to key it straight. I think that just makes sure that goes the right way round, because the bigger one goes to the rear, and then that smaller one, which you can barely see, just taps in. That's that one. Elastic band back on. Two little holes there, but this is so small. Just trying to get it the right way round on there. Add the glue to there. Let's try to slide that into position. Okay. The band's not sticking. No, that's good. Tick tick, done. Right, so at least we know we've got those off. Let's come back to these parts here. We will get this out of the way first. That bit sticking up there, I don't think. Initially, I thought that was actually meant to be there, but I think that's just sprue gates. I'll throw it around. Oh, there's no. No, that's definitely meant to come off. Before putting glue, I think that goes in here. I think we're fine to put this on now. And lucky I checked, got enough sprue gate at the front, which is stopping it going flush. Easy to miss that sort of thing. But what I will do is smooth it off a touch more. Run this round here where we know I'm not going to be seen. Now clip in there. Drop in there. Now that's going to be covered up by the spinner anyway. But what I might do is I might just actually no, that should be fine. Still need to get a bit of a gap there. I don't know whether that's where the tab was, and maybe I filed it down too much. Okay, we'll just have to it is on the panel line, so we'll see. That clip's going to be too small. No. Because I've polished that, it's not got any grip on it. It's fine. No, that's not going to make any difference anyway. No, that's fine. Right. So, back to these parts. So we're going to be putting photo etch parts on there which we'll need to paint first. What I want to do is to do this bit. Here's a little pipe. Which way round does that go? Bigger hole that way as I've got it. There should be a little groove. Yep, there's a little groove with a little tab there, so that will go in like so. That what I can do, a little location hole that went through there, put the glue on that side. Should bond it. A little drop in there where no one can see. So this will need the photo etch on that. It needs to be painted, then the photo etch on there. Then it will go onto this part, which I need to make up. It says to remove this tab. Okay, there is a, looks like it's going to be there tab, but it's not. So that's it there. And the question is attach parts in numbered order. So they do need, so I do need to put that bit on first before I attach those on. Okay. If I attach those first, then that actually go on the sides to clamp that in. Talking of sides, still got some screw gate bits there that need to be removed. Now I did hope I can actually paint these bits, but that's going to go on and then it flips that way up. So that you will need to actually have the photo etch on before I can put these bits in place, which is a bit annoying. As I had hoped. There's a small hole like that will go in. It's closed up due to the glue. Okay. Right, I'll put that in there, taking it out. Because there's a small hole here which was actually starting to get sealed up with glue. I'm just putting that in there and taking that out whilst it's still tacky. Because that means it actually needs to go through. There's a hole in the photo etch, so I can't actually even attach that. But at least we now know that that's going to fit and not be gummed up. So it's now just going to actually, before I can do that, I need to paint these bits. The insides. And whilst here, actually, no, let's jump across. I've forgotten these parts. this will go on there just to make that filter. That'll go like so. It's actually quite neat. The inside of that will be. I'm just wondering. Oh, let's not do that. Whether it is worth painting this beforehand or just putting it. Oh, actually, what we'll do, I will. So it doesn't blow away. Because the inside, fortunately we're doing it A, where the inside is also the duck egg green. I can put that on there so I can just paint those inside bits, then put them together. So actually, before we do anything, I'm just going to need to, give these bits, the inside bits, give all of these paint before I can put the photo etch on, and then attach them to the underside. So now, popped the bits that are going to be on the inside on a little bit of cocktail stirrer with some blue tack. Just peeled back some of the masking on here because that's whereabouts those bits are going to be going on. So just want to make sure I've got that on there as well as a little bit there. So a couple of drops of this in here. Let's hope the airbrush is working a bit more friendly. I've just put a little bit of water and airbrush cleaner through it. Seems to be getting a bit of spray. Now got some of that duck egg green on some of these internal parts here, so just let that dry, and got that on. And it did cross my mind whilst here, well actually say cross my mind, there's some bits of photo etch that need to be painted. It says XF56, which is basically a rust colour, so actually for that I'm just going to use the dark rust MRP. So it's some of these photo etch parts here, and also the exhaust stacks as well. So I'm going to pop a little bit of this in the airbrush whilst I've got the airbrush out. Not too sure how well this is going to be going on. This stuff does prefer to have a primer, to be honest, but we're going to give it a go whilst we're here. So get a bit of this on each of these exhausts. I've still got the air pressure a bit high. setting the air pressure to around about 20 psi on the just because I've been cleaning it out and I'd set the pressure a bit high, so give it a dusting first of all. This airbrush really does need a proper clean out. Okay, I'll pull back a bit too far. There's some parts here. I'm just going to paint it on the fret. To be honest, not too sure how well this is going to go just on this shiny. We'll do both sides. It seems that this photo etch fret covers versions of grills others, just purely because we're going to be using, what was it, 19, but there's another version, 18, that looks exactly the same but doesn't have the holes cut out for the pipes. Yeah, the paint's going on, but whether it actually sticks or just flakes off straight away remains to be seen. Being metal grills, I guess if it were to flake off a little bit, it'd be literally natural chipping to the steel underneath. Now, I deliberately want to also use the MRP because it is very thin, which means that these very thin, small holes, the grill, don't get clogged up. As what could happen if we'd been using a thicker paint or hand brushing it on. I reckon that's going to be about enough on there. Just come back to these exhausts. Oh, this may not be the precise colour, but these will be getting lots of weathering and smoke and stuff put on as well. But this rust should hopefully give us quite a nice base to do that with. Right, and that should be fine. Let that all dry. You're going to want to let that properly go. The Vallejo, to be honest, takes a while to dry anyway, so leave that. As I finished recording the last bit, I realised I'd actually made a bit of a mistake. So here we've been doing the exhaust, the sort of the rusty colour, because it actually said here the colours for this was actually X56 5 parts with a little 1 part XF7, which is actually metallic grey plus a dash of red to make a rusty colour. However, when I saw this bit, it is XF56. However, it is without any of the red bit added. So actually, that is going to be this bit is the rusty colour. However, these parts aren't the rusty colour, they're just going to be the grey colour. So I realised I'd made a little bit of a mistake on that one. So fortunately, let's just, yeah, that's fine. So fortunately, bear with me, notice that, so I popped over just a little bit of the over metallic silver, and it kind of just worked with in fact, the rust hadn't actually properly dried. So actually, you can't really see it on there, but we now have more of a metallic silver, but with a little hint of the rusty bit actually here and there, which I think works quite well. It just adds a little bit more contrast to it. So we're now going to be popping those bits onto this bit, and then get rid of the exhaust. We'll now get those out of the way. So we're just going to focus on these bits, which then build together and then go onto the bottom of the Spitfire. So this is just going to be requiring some bits cut from the photo etch. For this part here, there's two parts. This part, which is obviously common to all types, which is the slightly larger one, and this one is part 16. In fact, if this had been painted silver, like in the B&C variants, and this had been painted the metallic grey, I don't think it would actually really show up, actually. Oh, and the other one we have here is part, I think this is part 19, which is basically the same as this one next to it, but has got some little notches and holes, which is for the for these little bits of pipe. So we're going to pop those on with some super glue. I'm just keeping this on the towel just to give a bit more contrast, make it easier for you to see. We'll take a big blob of pop a bit of tape there, a small blob of super glue on there. That's basically our palette, just a small drip. And then using cocktail stick, we need to bend these first. Get those on. Do these go in any particular order? No. I did notice that these top parts are keyed, and by that I mean that one's got a hole which goes that direction, and this part, when I bend it, there's the hole which goes left to right. So one's an up or down, one's left to right, and that way it makes sure when they go on here, there's two little notches, one's a left to right, one's an up and down notch. And I will pop on here a bit of the glue. In fact, just a little slight smear over there. Now this is the part with the notch, so that can slide over there, hopefully. But keeping, put glue on there, keeping, you can see that little semicircle hole there lines up for the other pipe. And again, a little bit of glue on there, and a gentle little smear over there, and again taking this over that little notch and just push that into place. So we got a bit of contrast on there, and being genuine metal, it does kind of and with that silver going over the rust, we've got a bit more of a sheen to it as well. I'm guessing the resolution of the camera isn't picking it up too well, but you do have more of a fine grey, which does actually catch the light in different ways. So we've got that there, we've got that little hole that will go through there. Now remember, this part, we've got to build it in order, so it's saying we actually need to put this part on first, and then the sides go on. Now, dumb question, but which way around does this go? That way round. because this could go on. Okay, not a dumb question. Two little holes there, two little locating tabs. You can see the tabs are slightly bigger, and that's because this is almost symmetrical. There's a slight difference in the curve, but that wouldn't go around, so that is keyed, so that we know that will have to go that way round. And what I can do is, actually, for a bit of belt and braces, because there's the metal there, obviously Tamiya thing won't work with the metal, pop a little smear of that there, pop this on here. That's not really going to hold it anyway, but what we will do, take the Tamiya extra thin and just pop it inside here, and on the edge parts, which obviously won't be visible, and similarly the tab on the edge parts. That way at least we know that the plastic to plastic is making contact. The two edges, just check which way round these go. Actually, let's pop that pipe in. I think friction will hold this pipe, hopefully, for now. Hopefully, yes, we got it. Okay, so that slides in. So we've got that pipe just in there. Before I glue, we'll pop a blob of glue on there in a moment, but let's get the side walls on. Which way round? A bit with a little notch. So just to double check, because so here, each of these parts has got a little bit that sticks out, but also a little notch missing at the back. So just to make sure we know that those notches go at the front where the pipe work is, so that will go on that side. That will go there. A little touch of glue. Just probably put more of the glue in there, because doing it on that side, just to make sure that on the outside we'll have a smooth finish. There we go. I guess what I can do, if I'm worried about the paint when that glue is dried, I could always pop a bit more paint on there. I don't think I need it actually. And we wanted to, with that bit of pipe, oh, come on, with that bit of pipe, pop the blob of glue on there, and that's just going to make sure that locks into place, and a bit on the end. So that unit there is now done. So we've got the radiator grills in there, got the pipe work, and to make it all easier with this particular model, it's all in that duckhead green on the inside as well. The B and C versions, that would have to have been silver inside. We'll let that just dry for a bit. We've got to do a simpler version of that process on this part here. And actually this part here will get out of the way, and this will go on there. But what I will do is, before this goes on, so we painted the inside. It's not going to show up on the camera very well, but I can see it there, painted green, but where it should be open, that is also, you can see the green. So what I will do is take a little bit of black, a fine brush, and just that bit at the bottom, at the base. Don't think it's needed on that one, no, because that'd be open anyway. So that will mean, or should mean, that'll do. Literally just a dot of black. This is one of those bout erasers, I don't think anyone would actually look down there to see it. But that should now mean, when I pop that on there, put the glue on there, put the glue on. I'll put it on the inside, even though that bit has been painted. Actually, no, that's fine. I'm just going to brush that on. It's so small, that'll be fine. That now means that when looking down, it just sort of looks more black, not just a wall of duck egg. That's good. So that bit's done. That bit's done. Need to do this bit. I'm going to need to grab a bit more of the glue here because we had 2 more. It's a photo etch. So this part here, make sure I get this right way round. We need part 22 will be that side, part 23 that side, because they are slightly different sizes. One's bigger than the other. That's 1. And that's 2. So again, bend these bits. That one there and that one there. Already got something sticky. Shouldn't have put that down. It's already dried, that's fine. So again, repeat that process. Little dab of glue. So that will just go on that side. And it's smidged on the top just so it will lock in place. This is where the tweezers become more stickier than the super glue. And that one, oh, goes there. I think those are locked in and secure. I'm just going to put a bit more glue. It's already dried. It's quite quick drying this stuff. So again, little vents. So these parts are now ready to go on here. I've popped a little bit of glue on there. And I just want to make sure. Just take that masking off. I can always put it back on when needs be. Because before I put this on, oh, that would have been an idiotic thing to do. Right, I need my central strut that runs across. Make sure if anything needs cleaning up on here. I've only just hacked off the sprues. No, that looks fine. So that will go in there. Then we've got these plates that go over to lock that in place, and then that will then go over. So fortunately, I wasn't an idiot. I've actually taken those off there so those would need to go on first, and then that plate, that's fine. That goes in. It does mean though, which is a little bit awkward, that I'm going to have to mask these up before we do any painting. But that's, I think, the way that's got to be honest. So I'll run with that channel. It does seem to go in there quite nicely. Put that in there, and then there's little location tabs there, pins there, so that just goes in. Very good. These two blanking plates go on. In theory, I reckon it wouldn't be too much of a deal to keep that masked up, paint these bits and pop that in there, but it is nice to do it all in one go, just to make the joins a bit neater. It just adds that bit more consistency, I find. Now that should mean these parts will now drop in nicely around there. Actually, to be honest, there's not going to be that much to mask up. I can quite easily put a bit of tape around there and do that. So actually, I'm not too worried about that. I do see though, although it locked in quite nicely, that bit did need sanding off a little more. That tab was a little bit too obvious there. That's better. And that one. Come on. Goes that side. Okay. I will, for gluing purposes, just pop each of these out. And then just be a bit more liberal with the glue on that part there. And that lip there. But they do fit in quite nice and flush. So again, just going around that lip there, that lip there. There we go. So that's quite a nice way to put that in. And that's going to mean that that is going to be quite strong. Because it's not just what normally happens, you try to fit that one little bit in with only one or two little location tabs. Because it's actually one single unit going across there, that spar, which is now getting locked in from two different directions, those landing gear are going to be quite strong. I will need to just put a little bit of where the strut is, I might just need to change that. Hopefully I've got that. To be honest, they do look quite bright and shiny. I might have done that in a shiny aluminium, but it's fine. You'll get weathered down. So now that one, now we can just go across there. And again, I could be a bit more liberal by just putting the glue in. I mean, you're not going to see that join. Like so. That's that one. We've got the smaller radiator vent that will go here. So again, just putting it in place first, just to make sure, yeah, that's fine. The reason I was checking, because where that photo etch, the top bit's got bent over, just making sure there's enough depth there, which there is. And like before, I'm going to run the glue on those inner lips. That should mean when that goes in, We're not getting glue marks. I mean, to be honest, how much of that radiator is actually going to be visible? But that's not the point, we know it's there. And likewise, check with this one. This goes in deeper bit at the front. And again, yeah, that clicks into place nicely. Again, just brush over each of the lips. And there we go, that holds it in place. And actually, I mean, that one's a bit big. Yeah, definitely bigger. You can definitely make out the grille in there. And that does catch the light and does have that metallic look to it, which is what we want, because it's metal, and also at the rear. Yeah, that smaller one, actually you do notice it a bit. When you're looking for it, you can see it. Well, actually having that metallic sort of colour does work. Okay, so I reckon now that we are at pretty much the points where it's going to be getting ready for masking and priming. So this part here we won't do. Actually, let's just run through just to make sure. So yep, done all of that. That's in that place, that's in place. We've put those in. We've got that on. Obviously haven't done the wheel hubs yet, but we have got that. Need to put a little bit of extra paint detail on there. Got X11 over the AS12. Those are on, and obviously I'll be painting those separately. I've started removing the smaller bits off the sprue, so that would then get a coat of that whilst I'm doing it, because that will be the same both sides. So that's fine. Coming over to here, we've got that bit done, and now we're getting on to masking the canopy. We do actually have a masking set in the kit. What we'll need to do, it's not a pre-cut like the Edward stuff. You do actually need to get the scalpel and cut along the line, and make sure I need to use the right version. And then okay, I think what we'll be doing is we've got the open and closed versions. We need to work out whether I'll be able to use the closed version as a mask, or whether I use the open version and do it all at the same time. Work that one out in a bit. The little gun sight and the door we'll want to sort out afterwards. And then we do have some extra bits of detail here. So what's this? Okay, these strips that will go on here, that will need to probably go on before painting. Let's see. Moulding sticker. Okay. So that is so that's going to be, see what that is. I think we've got some decal sort of stuff that goes on there. So I think there's some side bits here, but I think those actually bits, instead of photo etch, are going to be getting replaced with, well, let's grab the box. So put those last bits in. What's the decal sheet? Ah, here. So actually, we've got the decals, but we do actually have in here, as I say, the masks that need to be cut out, and these parts here are stickers, but I haven't actually got texture, so moulded stickers. So you've got the photo etch versions, but these obviously a bit more refined and cut out. Moulding stickers can also be attached using craft bond after having removed the adhesive with Tamiya enamel thinner. So obviously these are stickers. You cut them out. I got that for the little escape panel, but we'll look into checking. I'm assuming that will be going on. Let's just look at the sides. Yeah, so they would need to be going on prior to painting. I just wanted to double check that. In that case, if that goes on prior to painting, perhaps we should do now, because these other little lumps and bumps, aerials, those sort of things, we'll be doing after painting, just to be safe. But if these are just to add texture to be painted over, just I've raised so it looks like they go on. Bring you in a bit closer. There's the panel here, and they go on the bottom of that panel. It says front. Molding sticker, so let's get that super glue out of the way. I think it's dried. So I'm actually going to use this. So no, it's going to be front purely because the dot bits are at the bottom. So A is actually the near side. So we'll do that for now. Using this, I'm just going to check, just try to peel the corner up. I'm assuming this is just one sticky sheet. Yeah, so that's one sticky sheet. Okay. It is bizarre that it's not saying whether this does go on before or after paint, but saying that, if we were to put those on, let's just look at the picture. Let's look at the box art, which might not be correct. The box art doesn't really show anything, and it's just this part here. So we're looking at this panel here, and it's this bottom, literally stripped along the bottom. It doesn't show it raised, but here we do actually have it as a panel line, but obviously painted over. I reckon we'll give it a crack with these, see what happens, and if not, then no, we've got the photo etch, and if not with the photo etch, then I don't think we're actually missing a huge issue anyway. But I'm using the edge of this photo etch just purely as a guide, as a ruler. It's just moving. Don't know if that was the greatest of plans. Taking that, trim that a bit more. And a bit more there. It's really coming off the backing. Now I know the part with the dots goes along the bottom. Take that, line it up, slightly off, so there we go. You can just see it on there. And that then obviously just raises up part though, it seems slightly too long compared to that panel line. So I just trimmed, I don't know if you can see it, probably just shining. There, you've got that shiny bit there. Just trimmed off half a millimetre there, just using the panel line as the guide. Same on the other side, we'll do the same. Probably should have used a sharper blade. Take the parts. There we go. Basically, because it's got a safe thing, it's always coming off the backing sheet anyway. Is it? Oh, come on. There we go. With the rivets that go along the bottom of the panel. In there. And that one does fit. There we go. Okay, a little bit of extra work, extra little bit of detail, but we'll keep our eyes on that. So hopefully that should mean that when that's painted, that bit will just raise slightly above the upper parts, and hopefully the rivet details on the bottom should hopefully be okay. So that's the bit covering up the fuel tank. I wasn't expecting to do that. So prop, these bits will be painted later. So for now, I think, and again, little tubes, sensors, those sort of things. From this point of view, it's going to be masking. Actually, let's take the door off actually, because just so I know which one we're going to be using. We've got the door. Which version are we using? It is, because I know there's two versions in there, A10 for all A, B and C versions on here. Which is the plain one without the little bar going across, I believe. Yeah, it is. I'm taking this off because what we'll be doing is, although it's going to be hanging down in the open position, I need to clean that up in a bit, that's fine. Although it will be coming down in the open position, we will want to put it in as a mask anyway. So which way round? So I can sort of just put it in with blue tack. So that'll go like so. But then we'll be having it opened. What I do need to do, I have painted the interior. What I'll need to do is, I did notice there's a small decal that needs to go on there first, and then with the decal as well. Then once that's dried, I can put on a bit more of the panel line accents so it matches what we've already got going on already in there, because that's what I did with that. But before I put the panel line accent on, I'll need to put the decal on, otherwise that will look funny having a brand new decal over the greasy part. Now I get into the bit that I've been dreading, which really is the masking of the canopy before we go into prime and painting. One thing to say, I've already removed the canopy from the sprue. There's a few different versions of canopy. and also depending on whether it's closed or open. One thing that did confuse me is this sprue is actually really two sprues. It is actually D and E, so this larger square section is D and this part here is E, and when it was taking off section D1 and section I just saw the 1 and was wondering why that part there didn't match what it did in the diagram. Thing to note as well is for versions A and C, which we're doing version A, the windscreen has actually got a two-part, so it's actually got an armour plated bit that goes on front. That gets painted separately and then it goes on. So the masking, it looks, wraps around that first part. Also got what we'll be using is actually got the closed canopy version, which actually I'm going to be popping on for masking purposes, so we won't be using. So just file off a little bit of tab just to make sure it sits. I'd already done this, but there was obviously one part that I'd missed. So we'll be using this and obviously putting in the door just to mask it. And there's a see-through, so I've lost it. There it is. This is the one without the armour plating on the front, which is for the B variant, which I'll also be putting on there just for use for masking purposes. It did cross my mind to try to mask it up so that should anything go wrong with this one, then we've got that, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And I'll just be tacking that in place, probably with a little bit of the glue and glaze PVA, just so then I can actually remove it easily, and similarly with the door as well. So that'll be for masking. But for now, before we do anything else, we're going to want to do this canopy. So let's pop you out of the way. So here's the various parts. There's 4 parts in total. I have just been test fitting, and I'll actually get that out of the way now. And this back piece, one thing to note, he's got 2 little notches, or 2 little pimples, the bits that poke out on the bit that goes to the front. But I did find, when test fitting, it was having trouble just going over that. Oh, take that off. Having trouble going over that bit of frame there. So I just filed a little bit from the top, retouched it, and also there's a little bit of a bar that runs down on the inside there. I just used the scalpel just to try to thin that a little bit. Can't really get a file into it, and that now just sits there. And it's literally that top bit was just fouling against that little bit. You can see actually it shows up a bit more in that light. The white bit is where I just scraped a little bit of it away just with a clean scalpel blade. And what I have done is I have put a fresh scalpel blade in so that we can do this. Right, let's get rid of starting to encroach a bit there. So let's work our way forward. As I said, I've just put in a brand new scalpel blade in here, and what I'll do, this isn't pre-cut like Edward stuff would be, so I've got some of it. I know I used a bit of the side of the photo etch earlier for something different side, but actually I've got one. There we go, one which is basically, that's a ruler one, so we've got a nice straight edge. To be honest, any of those would have been fine, but these sort of things are quite useful, different shapes in thin photo etch. So it's just going to be working our way through these. So let's start. Interesting to note, you've only got the masking for the outside. It recommends just putting some tape inside and painting, just to do the old, interior colour first. But this part, you've got to paint first, and because it would actually be laminating onto here, we do have ones for both sides. So let's just make sure we get the right way around. So we'll start with K first of all, which looks like that's the smaller of the sections. Which is this part here. This is probably going to be quite tedious to watch. So what I want to do is try to cut enough, press not too firmly, so I can actually try to peel it off, I think is the plan. Try and just cut through the top layer. Now I wonder if we've got a circle there. We have circles here, and various ellipses of different shapes and sizes. Just wondering if I could use, I might just be making work for myself there. Let's use a circle, and I don't need to get it so straight. And this rounded, that fits. So can I trace around the inside of this? We'll see. And hopefully I've cut that enough. There we go. Tweezers. I think I might have trimmed a tad too much up at the top, but I can hopefully neaten that up. That's in the wrong place. Right, I probably shouldn't use the smallest bit to start off with. Should have got my eye in with one of the larger pieces. Got it. There we go. I just needed to get that bottom edge just against the lip. So that's that first one. We'll flip it over, do the same on the other side. It's got a bit of a curve going on the bottom. Do that straight edge first. I also think I used too much pressure just now because I did cut through too much of the backing. Just now we're in the way. Let's see if I can find a circle for that larger one. No, even that's not quite big enough, that radius. Probably enough, I could just do it by hand. In actual fact, I'm going to do the top one by hand. Okay. There we go, that might be the easier way to do it. That one's a little bit neater. Ironically, that's the back one that no one's going to see. I say it makes sure that this is kept clear. Again, slightly wonky. This one doesn't have a straight edge at the bottom to push it against its slight curve. Oh, we got it, we got it, we got it, we got it. There we go. Oof. Push that down. And that will go on there. Of course, that makes sure that stays clear. Now, this part, don't lose that. We've got two parts. Looks like A and B go on, and A and B wrap around. If we were doing B version, then we would use C, D and E, but we're just using A and B here. I think I'm going to have to do this freehand again. Actually, the straight line I will. Definitely a bit of a weird complex shape. You can also see we've got a notch that's taken out just to help that go round the curve. We'll get this one on first, see how this goes before. I could cut them both out. A goes on that side. Put a bit in there. That's fine. Just takes it out. We've got that little notch, and hopefully, if I've read this correct, that should now go into this slot here. That bit in, and then in theory this means this top part should fold over. Now what I will do is this bit where that folded over, I think, yeah, what I will do is I'm going to put, once I'm done, before painting, put a little bit of masking fluid over that just to make sure that join is sealed. Let's cut this out. So that curve. Straight line down here. And this part, what I'm actually going to do, instead of taking out the notch, I'm just going to cut down roughly the middle of it. And that way you can still get a bit of overlap on there. I reckon I've pressed too hard. So now same in reverse. Get that in, make sure it's about level on the same side there. So that just overlaps, and then that final bit just got sticking up. Joins up there and hopefully makes a straight line. Okay, we've got a bit of an overlap in the middle, which is good, only by about 1mm. But what I might do, I was going to say I was going to put a little bit of stuff in, but what I might just do is a bit of Tamiya tape. Just over where that join is, and doing it level. I'll just do it with the fingers. Level with the top. Right, belt and braces, so I've just put a little bit over that join, just to make sure that when we spray we don't get, but if we look through them, just holding up to the window for the lights, yeah, no gaps in there, that's good. That's the fiddly bit done, I think. I hope. The reason I say that is the rest of these bits look a bit more squarish. So we'll come to closed canopy. We want the open canopy part here. So, I mentioned earlier about the bar that I had to trim. Just noticed that has actually got needs to be painted. We'll do that afterwards, but I'm going to highlight that now. I think that was the bar that actually, when being opened, I removed. So I just want to make sure I highlight that so I see that. So this is actually done in 2 parts, 3 parts even. There's the E and the F there, and then you've got a section here which then covers up the middle bit, basically doing what I did with the tape for the other parts. Let's get E and F on first. Now that edge is straight. So I'll just going to make sure I get these bits straight, because these are the bits that will also be going up, and that's on the same line, so just follow that along. So that part's slight curves going on here, so in fact do that little notch now. There we go. That back bit is straight to start off with. Now these bits, although they, oh sorry, though these bits, I didn't realise I was in the way, these bits are straight lines. They're not actually going to be butting up against stuff, so I don't have to be too precise, I don't think, with these. Because this is the bit that gets covered with the upper section. Whilst I'm here, get this to go in. Make sure that little beveled corner, no, that's too far. I'm going to have to trim a little bit off that corner in a moment. That's too far. The other way, literally, we're talking fractions of a millimetre each time. I think we got it. That's good. Remove a little triangle from the corner there. Nip that away. That's that side. Where was that triangle? Make sure I do it that side, I must have missed that. Cut through too deep. There we go, we're in. We've got the arrow for the front. We've got the escape panel and a sticker that goes on there, which we'll look at later. That's good. Cool. Pleased with that. Got a little hole in the top, and that is covered by, so we could just use a bit of, offcuts. There we go. And there's a bit of a curve there, so I'm just beveling that down. And we'll check on the inside, and yeah, no little light gaps. You can see that that's all done. Final bit here, and that's going to be G we need, which is G for this one. This is probably the simplest one we've got. I just need to nip those two corners, just the front edges. Make sure which way is the front. Two little dimples, they're only small, but the two little dimples at the front. Oh, scored it too much. Okay, we just pressed too hard. Oh yeah. No. And hopefully that's on straight. That wraps around, should meet exactly at the other end, which it does just. So they're not, those are ready for masking on the outside, but actually what we'll do is going to make sure when we spray, because we're going to be spraying them separately, going to mask on the inside. So to do this, we could using that to make sure we're good there. We're good, we're good, we're good. Same again for this. That's fine there. Put that in there. So this now means that the insides won't get any overspray on. And what I will be doing is to spray these first with the interior colour and then put the exterior colour on. So I'll move them out of shot. So I'll put the exterior colour on. Now with the 109, the canopy actually opened like so. So if I take this with a 109, it actually hinged and it's got it open like that. What I did with that one is actually mask the inside, just because I thought it was going to be a lot more obvious. With this one, where it's only going to slide back, you're really not going to have a direct view of the inside framework. Therefore, I'm happy just painting that on the inside. With the door, we will pop the door on, but with, I still need to put a bit of weathering on that, but that'll be fine for now. Is that the right way up? Yeah, the lip. The lip would be where the hinge is. So effectively, by putting it like so, yeah, that'll be fine. That'll just. I'm going to use a bit like I did with the super glue. Use a bit of, but this stuff, PVA glue. Actually, I was going to put a little blob on there, but put cocktail stick in. Being PVA, this should pop off quite easily, but I don't want to do a really solid join. Just 2 little dots on each side, and hopefully that should mean that. Actually, I want to just give that a quick. Get rid of that seam line on there. So the lip at the bottom. And that should mean that should pop off easily. But I still get painted, but that also doesn't fit properly there. I just realised there's 2 different. I think what I need to do is, I'm just going to come back to here. It doesn't actually show you, but if it's going to be closed, I've got a feeling that's not going to fit with the. Or does it just need to push in a bit? Now what I'm going to do, that doesn't seem to want to sit in there properly. So, I'm going to scrap that idea. Clean that bit of glue off. Now when that goes in, I'm going to need to have. Okay, I'm going to use this bit of tape here. It wasn't wasted, hopefully. Follow that line down. Trim that a touch. You see what I'm doing? Creating a flap. I can hopefully stick to the edges. So when that goes in there, I'll have to try to. Okay, let's glue this in place. It's only temporary tacking, so I don't need to be too careful. This is the sacrificial one. So hopefully, if I put that there, that goes into place. And before I put the front canopy on, let's take that bit of paintbrush. Use the non-glued side of the cocktail stick. I might be a genius. Yeah, it might not be. It's not sitting properly. Let's get the front part on. So this is the part, the windscreen for the version we're not making. So that's handy. Glue just to try to get these bits to line up. Actually, what I could do is get that in. Now we'll get that in place. Using that to line it up with. You know, something's not seating right, but remember, this isn't staining. This is just purely to mask, and actually what I will do anyway use a bit of this tape. That's probably a bit too long. To join this. And that's going to keep that lined up there. Those two parts of the canopy together, and we're going to stop getting spray in there. There's a little bit of a gap there, but that should be fine. In fact, what I might do is just take a small section there. Cool. Maybe the same. Grab some rough cuts. using every last millimetre of this tape. So now we can cover this in paint. This canopy is going to just get covered in primer and paint and everything, but that'll be fine. That also means we can do this bit. So what we might do now is paint these parts where there'll be the internal frame. So that'll basically be that part. We won't bother with the armour plating part on the front because that won't be necessary. And get those on. What I will do, fold that over. Then this bit, the door. Hang on, I don't want to peel off them decals there. Put that on there, just so I don't lose that. Because we'll know we'll need to paint that when I'm doing that side bit there. But for now, what we'll do, pop a little bit of interior on those frames there, and then we know we can just know that's done. And then next session we can just prime it all.